Steinke,
Here.
Mr. Wien,
Here. Are moving on to 6.0?
6.0 Policy and Personnel. We have the solicitor's report.
Nothing to report for me tonight. Thank you.
Okay. 6.1 Persons who wish to address the board. Is there anybody signed up over there? Not for any second. Okay. 6.2 Approval of homebond instructor. The committee's request to consider and recommend approval of Diane Hubler as the homebond instructor for the 25-26 school year. And any questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move that forward. 6.3 Employment. The committee's request to consider and rec approval of Mr. Ryan Flem, Technology Support Specialist, at an hourly rate of $21.83, effective date to be determined, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Mr. Vito Zazzo. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 6.4 Employment. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of Ms. Christy Robinson, Certified Billing Substitute Teacher at the elementary school, 46303, reduced rate of pay with single level benefit option available and prorated for the actual day's work, effective September 8, 2025, to fill the vacancy created by the newly created position. Any questions or comments on that? Here none, we'll move that forward. Committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of Ms. Chloe Gershner, part-time special education paraprofessional, 6 hours per day at an hourly rate of $13.66, effective date to be determined, to fill the vacancy created by the retirement of Ms. Marlene Burrows. Is it Bios or Burrows? Burrows. Burrows. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. .6 Employment. The committee's request to consider and recommend for approval the following game workers for the
Mr. Bendigo, could I interrupt for 1 minute?
Yes.
Board docs went down, but it just came back. It's just, I know people were probably looking at it, and I saw Mrs. Kleffel get up, but it was actually a board docs issue on their end, so if you give everybody a second to refresh, it looks like it's coming back up right now.
You were almost gonna have to do the whole meeting.
Well, we have some,
God
we
forbid.
always have some extra copies here,
I did-
but,
I did bring my
oh,
glasses
it's back
tonight,
down
though,
again,
'cause I need
so.
'em.
It did come up, but it looks like it went back down again.
I'll share with the committees my copy if need be.
Do you need a copy?
If you want to continue,
Let me
Paul.
have that, no. Yep. Let me have that one.
Hey, I got my paper stuff right here.
You have one? Give that down there to those.
Kristen's chuckling there at me.
Okay, sorry about that.
You ready now? Okay. 6.6 Employment. The committee's request to consider and recommend for approval the following game workers for the 2025-26 school year to be paid $40 per event. Mark Harrell, Anthony Neal, Aaron Chappelle.
And there's one on the other side.
6.7. Oh, Steve Shell. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 6.7 Employment. The committee's request to consider and recommend approval of the following substitutes for the 2025-26 school year. Cheryl Felix, Secretary. Brittany Furnage, Food Service. Kathleen Godowski, Homebond Elementary Education, Reading Specialist, retired. Barbara Hill, Custodian and Food Service. David Horton, Guest Teacher. Susan Jones, Food Service. George Kavari, the 4th guest teacher. Sharon Lewis, elementary, K through 6, mentally and/or physically handicapped, K through 12, retired. Sierra Merkel, paraprofessional. Melissa Miller, food service and paraprofessional. Joshua Schmeck, guest teacher. And Sharon Whitman, paraprofessional. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 6.8, employment. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the following extracurricular appointments for the 25-26 school year. Haley Peters, soccer girls junior high assistant coach for $1,840. Randy Wire, girls soccer varsity assistant coach, $5,180. Any questions or comments on that?
I just have a comment. I'm hoping Haley Peters brings her experience from playing on an Italian team after she graduated to our program, so I would think she would have some benefits to share with our girls. So
Excellent.
that's all.
We'll move that forward. 6.9, employment. The committee's request to consider and recommend approval of the following volunteers for the 2025-26 school year. And we have a good variety there. There's 18 total volunteers, 10 for the elementary school, 3 for the elementary slant middle school, 2 for the middle school, 2 for the high school, and 1 person volunteering for every school, elementary, high school, and middle school. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. Six point 1.10, employment. Let's see. Approves the following mentors for the 25-26 school year at a stipend of $1,175 for full-year mentors and $587.50 for half-year mentors. Jeff Shalott for a half-year, Stephanie Good for a full year, Jennifer Geist for a half-year, Marissa Horn, half-year, Melissa Kaufman, half-year, Courtney Neary, full year, prorated for days worked, and Jen Blessing, full year, prorated for days worked. Any questions or comments on that?
Can we see who they're mentoring? I think in the past we used to see who they were assigned to. So if we can get that added. Yep,
We will-
thank you.
We'll add that for next week.
Yep,
So
thank
it's on
you.
there. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 6.1, the committee's request is to consider and acknowledge the following Family and Medical Leave Act leaves of absence. Julie Sherry, 3rd grade teacher at the elementary school, effective August 18, 2025 through August 28, 2025. Caitlin Dupe, kindergarten teacher at the elementary school, effective August 18, 2025 through November 7, 2025. Jessica France, 4th grade teacher at the elementary school, effective approximately October 27 through December 22nd, 2025. Any questions or comments on that?
Do you want me to take 6.12 and 6.13?
Yeah, we'll move 6.11 forward, and you can do 6.12 and 6.13.
Okay, 6.12, voting item, resignations. The committee is requested to accept with regret and best wishes for the futures the following resignations. Miss Caitlin Boyle, English teacher at the middle school, effective September 3rd, 2025. Dr. Melissa Brewer, Director of Pupil Services, effective September 2nd, 2025. Mr. Jonathan Kyle, custodial supervisor, effective September 5th, 2025. Miss Annalise Minor, secretary to the assistant principal at the elementary school, effective August 29th, 2025. And Miss Melissa Schnabel, secretary to the Director of Curriculum and Learning, effective August 28th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Bendigo.
Second, Cleffel.
Discussion. Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. 613, voting item, rescindment of agreement. The board has requested and approve the rescindment of the confidential settlement and release agreement 00025011738. Entertain a motion.
So move, Lash.
Second.
Second, Kleffel.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That also passes 9-0. If you want, 614, any other old or new business?
I think you already did it.
Hearing none, we'll move on to 7-0.
Okay. That brings us to 7.0, curriculum and technology. 7.1, persons who wish to address the board. And there is no one to speak, so we'll move on to 7.2, change order through visual sound. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the change order in the amount of $2,984.33 for the installation of an additional touch panel and related labor to the middle school auditorium project. Are there any questions or concerns about that? We did get some information on that, and that pretty much completes the auditorium, right?
I missed.
So this will allow us to have two-zone control. So there's already a control behind the curtain, and there's also a control in the top of the LGI, right at the top of the seating. This will put a third control in the cafeteria so that two groups can meet simultaneously with or without the partition open. And yes, this would complete it.
Thank you. Okay. If there's nothing else, then we'll move that forward. 7.4, Brain Pop subscription. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the subscription to Brain Pop for the elementary school. Oh, I missed that. Oh, did that before. Okay. I'm getting really good at skipping these. 7.3, substantial completion to the visual sound. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval for the substantial completion of the middle school auditorium project, Phase 1, with visual sound as presented. Yeah, I knew where that was. Any questions or concerns about that? If not, then we'll move that forward, and that should take care of the sound, hopefully, in that middle school auditorium. Now, 7.4, Brain Pop subscription. I think I was eager to find out about Brain Pop, so the committee is requested to consider approval of that for the elementary school. So, Jenny, do you want to talk about what that is, or Shannon, or somebody just tell us what Brain Pop is and how it's used?
Well, Brain Pop is a computer-based program that our elementary school uses for a number of different things. The students really like it, and we actually found that the elementary was getting the license to it every year, just them solely, but the IU actually has consortium pricing, so we were able to get it much less expensive than what they were paying. So that's actually part of why that's in front of you right now.
Okay, I hadn't heard of it, so
Yeah,
I really thought it was
it's
kinda cool.
interactive, and there's little videos, and it's on different subjects. I've seen them use it before at the elementary. It's very cute. The kids like it.
Okay, and thank you for finding a cheaper price for us to,
No problem.
to purchase that. So, any other questions about that? If not, we'll move that forward. 7.5, Quaver music for the Schuylkill Valley Middle School. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of a pilot for the Quaver music curriculum for grades 5 through 8, because it is a curriculum, and the board has not been presented with a full copy of that curriculum. We are asking that this be piloted while we get a copy of the curriculum documents for the board to review. And this is something that our middle school music teacher wanted us to use, if you want to give us some information.
So last year, our middle school music teacher, Mr. Santoro, actually used this. So it was not something that had come before the board before. So he reached out and wanted it for this year. And so Dr. Gabrilik reached out to me and said, I know this is a curriculum, this needs to be approved. So I met with Mr. Santoro. He said that this was a program that they used last year. It's a lot of music technology. It's also interactive. There's a large song library in it, a lot of videos. He said actually when the kids came back this year, they were asking him if they were going to use that again. So we're proposing to use it as a pilot this year. And then assuming that goes well, then we would move forward and want to use it after this year.
Is are all his classes based on this, or does he do another?
He does other things. This is just something he uses in supplement with what he is doing in his music classes.
Okay, any other questions or concerns?
Just, who paid for it last year? He didn't pay for it, did he?
No, it came out of the middle school budget.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other question or concern, we'll move that forward. Thank you. 7.6, recycling of network equipment. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the recycling of network equipment from the high school and middle school as listed. These are old things, and it's time to recycle these or get rid of them. So we did get a listing of the inventory that's going to be disposed of. So thank you, Michael, for, although it's just a lot of numbers, I don't know exactly what that all is, but thank you. I'm just so glad everything is inventoried now, so we have a good knowledge of what we have and what we need to get rid of and what we need to replace. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Any questions or concerns about that?
I would just, Michael, if you don't mind, just kind of giving us a rundown. I will not just be blindly saying that we can get rid of things any longer. So I would just like to know on record what we're getting rid of.
And the only reason this isn't public is because of the cybersecurity implications, so.
That's fine, but these numbers don't tell me anything as a board member either.
So what you have in front of you is a list or inventory of, they're just switches, HP switches, bought prior in the district prior to 2015, I believe. These are all end-of-life devices that either won't be patched if there's a security flaw, won't be supported if there's a breakage or anything like that. We switched from HP to Cisco, and we're actually on our next iteration of switches and networking. So this is 2 generations old.
And they're already replaced, we're already using
Yep,
other
so
items.
these were-
There is absolutely, positively no way that we will need these items.
Yep, so there's, these were all in storage. There was, of the batch of what I wanted to give you, we pulled 2 devices that still had some usefulness in like a lab environment to us, but not production for transmitting, sensitive data related to students and education.
Thank you, Michael,
Mhm.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
So Mike, what actually happens to this stuff?
So we actually partnered with a company that places it's a C bin that sits up here in the high school. So anything that has no value, no data to it, we're able to put in there. I didn't want to put anything in there that potentially has value, has data on it, or something that was costly to the district initially. So this equipment's going before you. Things like broken keyboards and mice, those are peripherals. Those tend to be, there's no serial number on them. So we'll quantify those. We'll say 10 keyboards, 5 mice. Because these have a serial number, it's important to keep track of their full life cycle in the district.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move that forward. 7.7, any other old or new business for the committee?
Just one, the We have a potential donation of the studio equipment from BCTC as they were upgrading, and I just didn't know. I know we talked about having an update or, looking at what that equipment possibly could be used at the middle school, and I just didn't know if we had an update.
We don't. I received a name this past week of a parent who I think is working at the BCTC, so we will reach out to see what that is. It's my understanding that they actually spoke to our faculty or someone on our faculty, and there was some hesitation to take it. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of what that is so that the board has that accurate information.
Okay, thank you. I just know from a BCTC perspective, it's already been approved to come over to Schuylkill Valley, so I just didn't know that we don't have the handoff complete
No,
yet.
I don't have anything on that. I just got the name this week of the parent. But in the name, and providing me the name of the parent, I was informed that our faculty were not interested in having the equipment. So I'm not sure how all of this has transpired, but we are trying to get to the bottom of
Okay.
it.
From the BCTC side, if you want, I can also probably get a list of equipment and all that, maybe forward it to Mr. Subject and yourself.
Well, I certainly want to talk to the faculty member who
Right.
has a concern about it to find out why they have a concern,
Right.
and then ask them to provide that concern in writing so that the board can consider that concern and has all of that information.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move on to the next committee.
Alrighty, 8.0, 8.1, no one speaking this evening. 8.2, approval ratification of bills. The committee is requested to consider and recommend the board approve ratify the payment of bills in the following amounts from August 11th, 2025 to September 23rd, 2025 as presented. General Fund, $1,539,614.29. Cafeteria Fund, $25,929.32. Capital Projects Fund, $57,790.60. High School, Middle School Activity Fund, $2,228.73 for a grand total of $1,625,562.94. Any questions? Moving that forward, 8.3, disposal of old kitchen equipment. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the placement of 3 pizza warmers and 2 condiment tables on municipal due to the age and non-use. Any questions?
I got a quick question.
Sure.
Has anybody been contacted from the boosters or the athletic department to see if they would be able to use any of these items?
Or would that be able to be used in the new facility?
No, but we could probably find out.
So, okay, I think one. So, the condiment tables, I would say not. They're really outdated. They're very low and not spacious, so that's why I'm asking to put them on municipal bid now. They're at the elementary school. And the pizza warmers are more like a open grab and go. You know, they put the pizza up and people would pick it themselves. I think they're kind of large for what maybe, they might want to use, the boosters might want to use. But I mean, they can gladly take a look at that and see, if that's something that they would want. But I think the condiment tables are very outdated. They don't hold a lot to be very useful.
Okay.
That helps.
And Louisa, we have
Yes.
what we need with them being gone.
Yes, so the pizza warmers have not been used, I think, since COVID. And it's more like a grab and go, like students would come up and grab their pizza, from my understanding. They've not been used since I've been here. We now just plate the pizza and the student can pick the piece of pizza off the line. The condiment tables are very small at the elementary school, and I purchased 2 6-foot adjustable leg tables, so they can go down to 20, I think it's 26 or 28 inches, which seems really little, but when you're
For our
standing next to a
tiny
little
kids.
kindergartner, and it's more spacious in the front, so they can put their tray and they're not fumbling around and spilling things, where the other ones didn't have a lot of frontage, and they were higher, even though they looked, to us, they looked low, but they were not low enough.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Okay.
Would you mind, I can show the boosters, I'll just show
Yeah,
them.
yeah, oh, for sure,
Just to
yes.
see what she says.
Yeah,
But, and then I'll make sure I let everybody know before next week.
oh, yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be, yeah, yeah, I don't think they're gonna need them.
Store them.
Yes, right,
Years, so we might.
right. I mean, it was a good thought, but, and we'll ask them, but if not, send them to Municipal.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move that forward. I'll talk to boosters before next week. 8.4 in the treasurer's report. Any questions on that? Move that forward. 8.5, any old or new business?
Hearing good things coming through on our audit, so I don't know if you want to talk about that for 2 minutes. You can toot your own horn if you want to, or toot your team's horn. We just want to say thank you for the efforts that are being made. Like, are we done? Are they through all their points?
They are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. At this point last year, they were still kind of more or less going through their process. They had left the district, but they were going through questions. We've essentially now responded to all questions.
And the field work is now over.
And the field work is now over. So the hope is that preliminary financials will come soon. And then that way we would have the draft financials to complete the AFR by the October 31st deadline. So yes, I want to say thank you to my team. And again, that's really, it's thank you to the board for allowing us to elevate those positions. That really was in need. And again, going back to the audit, them saying that last year that we wanted to be able to, again, complete the department, make the department full, which we were able to do. So thank you.
Right, I know we took effort to increase our skill set in those
Correct.
positions. So.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I figured good news is good news.
Good
Let's
news,
hear
yes,
it.
yeah. Yep.
So thank you again.
And hope for a state budget soon.
Yeah, while you're there,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Because financial security is probably one of the biggest
Yeah.
comforts we can have.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I was kind of optimistic on Tuesday morning when Dr. Smith was talking about possible
As was I.
budget
Yeah.
by the weekend. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
We're
you
now
know.
on Monday, and yeah,
Well, now
so-
it's Monday.
yeah.
So, what's the impact of PSERS on Schuylkill Valley? I know what it is on the IU. I had my officers meeting today, but.
Right.
And it affects the IU. Does
Yes.
it affect us?
No.
To not have to pay? So we're not seeking a waiver or anything?
No. Mm-mm.
For whatever comes in from the state or whatever's the local?
No.
So we're not affected?
We are
by
not
that?
affected, no.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you.
We're able to afford our features.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Because that's a big
I know.
deal for
It is. It's a
IUs,
hardship
because
for a
they don't
lot,
have any
so.
local.
Correct, and
Money.
that's, yes.
So
And
not
that's kind
just
of
the
why it's
IUs, there
impacting.
are other districts that are, as I said to the board, having to take a U-Haul loan just to make salary
Right.
payments and things like
Yep.
that sometimes
Bond
when,
payments and then PSERS, yes.
in their
are kind
bond
of linked,
payments
yes.
and things like that. So that has not been the case for us.
And the IU did take the loan, so.
They did.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just so the general public understands, we had to pass our budget by June 30th of every year.
Yes.
And in that budget, we anticipate funding from the state.
Yeah, about 26%, so.
26% of our budget from the state, and here we are, July, August, September, 3 months in to our budget almost,
Nothing.
and the state still hasn't approved their budget, so that we know exactly where we stand. So this is one of the obstacles that school districts statewide have to deal with on a regular basis. And I wish they'd just get their act together over in Harrisburg.
Agreed.
And you're,
Are they releasing any funds at all?
No, not as of yet. So,
I know in the past, when Governor Rendell, who was 1 for 8 in passing a budget on time, when he was governor, I know they were releasing some funds, and that's what I
Yeah.
was just asking, because not as much into the details
Right.
as I've been in previous years, but I knew they had some releases of a lower level, so they at least knew they were trying to keep the districts afloat,
yeah,
knowing that they weren't doing their job. So
yeah.
I guess that would be something that if our community can reach out to, you know, for everybody's sake, the community as a whole, to say, hey, you know, our state reps, state senators, and then Josh Shapiro's office, and say, hey, let's get it together.
Right.
Okay, well, I just didn't know. I know in the past they had done that, so.
And
okay.
your department's working on the 26-20 preliminary work for 26-27 budget.
Correct.
So that really throws school districts into it.
Yeah, we're already starting on the next cycle when
Yeah.
the state budget hasn't been approved yet, so, yes.
Yeah, if you remember, if the board remembers, last year when we started the budget, we made estimations based on what the governor estimated his budget to be. So we still don't know how close those estimations were to what he's going to get. And we are now going to make estimations on the estimations. So it does get challenging when the budget gets drawn out this long, because now you're compounding your guesses. The year before, we were pretty close. But if it's dramatically different, and it's why you see school districts taking a more conservative approach to budgeting, so that if it is wrong, there's not as much impact and you're not losing headcount, which is the majority of our budget, is salary and benefits.
Correct.
I'll throw in another 2 cents. It's compliments to this school district that we're able to do this without taking out a loan like a lot of other school districts in Pennsylvania. So the administrative team of this school district and everybody involved in it really should get great recognition for us managing our funds the way we do.
Yeah.
And the sad part is that interest that the districts have to pay doesn't get reimbursed by the state. So it's a double whammy, because the investment funds that the districts count on to earn some investment income isn't going to be there because they're drawing it down. And then the second part is that if they have to take a loan out, the interest payments on those loans also aren't being reimbursed by the state. So it's a double whammy, and at some point it needs to stop or get better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anybody else? All you, 9.0.
Hold on.
9.1, persons who wish
Hold on, before you. Yeah, for the other old or new business, just a question, just the status on the Berks County invoice.
We are waiting on our final transportation number and our final number for special education services that were provided last year. We did provide a credit for and prorated the amount of time that people were at the youth center. We also credited for all the billing that we received. So we are in the final stages, and by September 30th, with the board's approval, board approved the last time for us to send that bill. So
Okay.
just a final transportation numbers. Since it's not all our transportation, we get reimbursed from other people.
Right,
Can you send that out to us when it finally gets done?
I will copy the board on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it, sorry.
Good. All right, 9.1, persons who wish to address the board. There are none. 9.2, a quote for Pletcher Fire Protection. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the quote from Pletcher Fire Protection, the amount of $2,310 for the kitchen fire suppression repairs at the high school. Any questions or comments about that? Okay. Dave, if you want to.
Yep, I'll do 9.3. 9.3 is another voting item, proposal, TerraWorks Consulting. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the proposal from TerraWorks Consulting in the amount of $17,675 for geotechnical consulting services related to the Fieldhouse project. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, Bendigo.
Discussion?
The only reason we have this as a voting item, it's the information that they have acquired. We need to continue on the project that we're working on. So instead of waiting an additional 2 weeks to our next meeting, that information is very timely. So that's why it got moved to a voting item.
Okay. Well, thank you. Hearing no other discussion, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes 9-0. Brian, if I'll ask, and I don't have any for this one, is there any, 9-4, is there any other old or new business for buildings and grounds?
I just have one that I got later this evening, and I didn't have time to look it up before the meeting. So what is our policy on naming rights? Do we have a current one? And if we would decide we want to name parts of our new field house or anything like that, what is our naming right policy? And I couldn't look it up. I didn't have my phone or anything to do that, so.
Dr. Winters?
I would need to look that up and research that further.
Okay, I can get, I told him I'd get back probably next week for that, so if I could get an answer, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
It looks like there is a policy 701.1. I haven't looked at it at all, but you do have a policy. I just don't know the details.
But then I wasn't sure if it was updated, when we had talked about it last.
701.1 looks like it was adopted in 2013.
2013, okay, thank you. We do have one, all
It
right.
actually, and we should probably look at it to get it updated, because that we passed back when we did the turf field at the stadium and the new track and things like that. And we were dealing with donations that we took for some things we did out there.
I thought so, but I didn't have a chance to look it up, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And I would just like to request again a meeting about the field house. I know
We're
we
going to
have a
discuss,
committee.
we're going to discuss that, we have an executive session, and we're going to discuss and set a meeting date where all 9 of us can be there.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that's
'cause
on the,
I-
that's
I
already,
asked last
that's already
month,
on the
so-
agenda.
All right,
I got that on my list, Kelly.
thank you.
I think the last building and the meeting was last week, which was the first meeting after the request that Mrs. Steinke made. And that was at that meeting that the Building and Grounds Committee discussed what the potential date would be in response to Mrs. Steinke's request.
Okay, moving on to 10-0, student services and activities.
So this is the payment for the summer, this past summer's ESY program, which we should have had a long time ago, so.
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move that forward. 10.5, we have a settlement agreement and release for student number 5030. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the settlement agreement and release for student 5030, and we have executive files attached for that. Any questions on that item? Hearing Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 10.6, the Vanguard School Addendum for the 2025-2026 ESY Agreement. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the Vanguard Schools Addendum B ESY Agreement for the 25-26 school year. That agreement is attached. Any questions on that item? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. 10.7, the CHOR Youth and Family Services Agreement for the 25-26 school year. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the CHOR Youth and Family Services Agreement for the 25-26 school year, and that agreement is attached for review. Any questions on that item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that forward. 10.8, we have the FFA ACES Conference. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the FFA annual trip to the ACES, which is the Agricultural Cooperative Establishes Success event. Any questions on that item? We'll move that forward. 10.9, we have the FFA SLLC Conference on the agenda. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the FFA SLLC, which is a state legislative leadership conference. Any questions on that item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that forward. 10.10, we have the Hawk Mountain Letter of Agreement establishing camp usage and hold harmless agreement for the 8th grade camp for this year. Now, the committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the letter of agreement to establish a use of the Hawk Mountain Scout Reservation by the Schuylkill Valley School District, subject to review and approval by the solicitor. Any questions on that item? Hearing none.
Is there any perhaps could we put this for subject to solicitor review when we do this next? Does it already say that?
Yeah, it's
oh, I'm
already-
sorry, I missed
yes.
that. Okay, I just wanted to check out the indemnification language more closely.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, hearing nothing else, we'll move that forward. 10.11, we got a settlement agreement and release for student 3613. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of the 25-26 settlement agreement for student 3613, and we have that agreement attached for your review. Any questions on that item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that forward. And now we have 10.12. This is a voting item for David.
So 10.12, this is the last voting item for tonight. DJ for homecoming dance. The committee is requested to consider and recommend approval of Mr. Rick Bean to serve as DJ for this year's homecoming dance at a cost of $800 for 3 hours. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Rossi.
Bendigo.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. Passes 9-0. Might as well take the next one. 10.13, is there any other old or new business for student services and activities? Hearing none, moving on. 11.0, anything for the good of the order?
I'd like to give a shout out to the girls volleyball team. They're doing very well. Just really happy to see they're doing really well.
Okay, thank you. And 12.0, motion to adjourn. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Kleffel.
Second, Rossi.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The board will meet in executive session.